Hey y'all, welcome to another one of our Self-Esteem Mini convos. And today we have Samantha Saunders.
Hey.
Now, the thing you should know before she introduces herself is that this is the one, trauma and toxicity relationship recovery. I just want to make sure that y'all knew so that, because when she says it again, I want you to make sure you heard it. Can you introduce yourself to the people?
Absolutely. I'm Samantha Saunders. I'm a therapist and I help people to break free from trauma, get out of toxic narcissistic relationships so they can have healthy, nourishing relationships with themselves and other people.
Boom. So we're just jumping in.
Right.
How do you define self-esteem?
So I really find it self-esteem about how people see themselves because it makes a difference in how you value yourself and how you show up for you. Because are people just getting the you that's been happening because of what has happened to you, like the hurt and the trauma that's happened, or are you showing up as yourself based on just who you are now and just
Definition. I like this definition. Okay, so then you talk about toxicity.
Yes.
And so for me, that leads to like the second question of some people think of themselves as having like failed or self-sabotaged in some way in relationships. So how does a person increase their self-esteem after self-sabotaging?
Oh, this is a good question because when it comes to just self-sabotaging in general, I think people get it mixed up because self-sabotage, you feel like you're protecting yourself, right? Like you don't want to get hurt. You don't want for people to view you a certain way. It's always to try to protect yourself from whatever's coming up. And so we got to really ask ourselves exactly what is here. Is you're going from based on the past or going based on what's happening right in front of you? And if it's based on the past and being able to work it out, like being aware of that, to seeing, okay, am I just scared of what happens next? Or am I allowing, or is it what someone did in front of me, And so, yeah, so really asking, okay, whatever you're saying to yourself, whose voice is this? Like asking to see exactly, is this your voice that is telling you to do certain things? Is from like your past relationship voice, like really just seeing on what ways you're trying to protect yourself and seeing on, what do you need from this person, and be able to just really really be able to use your voice expressing what your needs are, which I know can be challenging at first, but even in doing it, start small, doing it in small ways of showing up for yourself, whether that is saying what you want. I always say, like, be in your hell yes moments at all times. Like if you you need to, because even when it comes down to what you want to eat, like what is a hell yes for you, what you want to eat, on even what you want to wear, are you thirsty, not thirsty, like paying attention, because those small promises that you make to yourself make a big difference in how you show up.
Damn, it's the hell yes for me. Like, is it a hell yes? Because I think too many people are in question mark,
right?
So they're not in hell yes, they're not even in yes.
Yeah,
they're just sort of are. They're in I'll go with the flow.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, even if you're on your butt watching Netflix and you don't want to go somewhere, or you don't want this type of space or relationship, then it's a no. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
I like that. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. This is the same thing we tell people, sex therapists, we tell people where it comes to consent. If it's not a definitive fuck yes, hell yes, then the answer is no, because pleasure doesn't have a question mark at the end like that.
Exactly. You're
right. Damn. So, okay, so then in the choosing of the toxic relationship, we know that sometimes people, like, not only do they lose their self-esteem, they'll lose their way. And you already talked a little bit about sort of like finding your way. But this question, I want to make sure I ask it exactly as it's written, because it wasn't my question, it was someone else's question. It was, how can a person stop feeling like they can't do anything well enough? Because for me, it made me think about what you do, right? Like, when you say toxic relationship recovery, my mind went everywhere. right? So like we're like recovering from the toxic family relationship, recovering from the toxic lover relationship, as well as recovering from the toxic self relationship. So it did make me wonder about then sometimes you feel like you can't do shit. And that informs how you sort of like move in your self-esteem. So how can a person stop feeling like they can't do anything good?
And I think it's like, I really like to be able to think about like, what are we telling ourselves? What is this internal narrative that we're telling ourselves consistently? And then a lot of times it like kind of go back to a little bit to the other one, like whose voice is this? Is it something that just was learned? Did someone tell you this? And then this is what happened, and I'm just thinking about a client just I had earlier, just if it's something that was said to you, then of course, if a family is saying it, then it's going to show up in a certain way. If it's relationships that are making you feel like they're not good enough, or a lot of times it's from parents. I'm hearing a lot it's like from parents starting off of like, nothing is ever good. Oh, not a B, you get an A. Like if not an A, you should be getting this. It's like nothing is ever enough. There's no. And even with society as well. So I think it's one of those of really deciding to see if like, okay, if this isn't my voice, then what is it that I need to just like, when you think about whose voice this is and, where I first learned and where this came from as well, because I need to be able to see exactly, okay, where did this even stem from? Did it stem from just my relationships or just with my parents? And to really be able to see, okay, if I saw there was a close friend that was going through the exact same situation, just to start off with basics here so people can be able to take in. If a close friend's going to exact same situation, what would I want them to know and hear, right? Like sometimes we see it externally, like it's not ourselves, but we can do it with somebody else. Like that's how we can fix everybody else's problems, but it's hard to fix our own situation.
Right. And I know I certainly use that trick in therapy on occasion where I'm just like, okay, fix this person's problem.
Right.
Okay. Apply it.
Right. Exactly. Right. And like just celebrating those little progress over perfection when doing it. But I think just being able to have, like you were mentioning, you do it as well. But it makes a difference because we don't talk to other people the way we talk to ourselves.
Word. I just be like, y'all are wilding.
Right.
Rude as hell. Because if you were someone else, you would watch your fucking mouth. Like, excuse me and my cousin, but I just like sometimes I just want to be like, you better. I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to. You're not talking to my friend.
But we don't really like say it out loud, because if you said it out loud, you'd be like, what? If a friend said that to you, you would be looking like they crazy.
Like, what's wrong with you? And that other piece that you talked about, like where did it come from?
Yeah.
It makes me think about like Marvel movies or DC comics, all of those, right? It's like, well, what's the origin story? Like, where did this really start from? Like, what was the vat of toxic chemicals that created this thing that's not even like a superpower or anything like that, but actually feels like super villainy? Although I also think of it as a cursed heirloom, something that got passed down and now is
generational. Yes.
There's definitely an intergenerational piece.
Oh, absolutely. There definitely is an interracial component, because if someone doesn't feel good about themselves, they take it out onto the child, or they, project on their child about what's going on. And we do that subconsciously sometimes, because it's what we just knew. And we operate a lot from what we are based from, right? If we saw that, okay, if parent did spanking or whatever they did to discipline you, you might pass it down or do different, or just not know what else to do. So we kind of go like post-traumatic slave syndrome. There's all these different things that could happen when it comes to generational trauma.
Word. And some of that stuff feels like it turns into like a tradition. And I just did one of these the other day with Goody Howard. And she says tradition is peer pressure from dead folk.
Oh,
and when you sit in it,
wow, yeah.
When you sit in it, and when you realize the things that you're carrying on as tradition, I'm like, is that the culture that you were even trying to build in the first place?
Oh wow,
Meanwhile, before I get us way off track, let me get to this other question. So, is there a way for someone to tell a potentially narcissistic person from someone who is just confident? Now, I had to ask you because you talk about narcissistic recovery, and I'm just like, well, people are like, well, they not confident, they arrogant, or they're narcissistic, and I'm just like, well, how can you tell? You ain't even had a full conversation yet.
Well, there's healthy confidence in narcissism. With narcissism, you're not, I think it's like you're not focused on others' needs or emotions or anything like that, right? So a confident person can be able to take feedback and just be able to use it, right? Or a confident person can feel secure within themselves and not feel like they have to one up on somebody else. You're just who you are. You're just being confident who you are. Versus a narcissistic person, it's more about, it's separate from themselves. Like how do I explain this? It's kind of more, if you offer them criticism, it's more about blaming you than taking accountability, right? It's kind of that type of piece. Or they need constant validation towards something. And if you're confident, it's not about getting the validation. You're just like, okay, this is what I'm saying. This is what I am. I don't need necessarily the validation. Validation is extra touch to it, but it's not necessary. Where they need kind of constant, validation of something and, admiration to feel worthy, but a lot of it's like they can't handle other people's needs or emotions or feelings about something. It's just kind of like, oh no, that's you, or they manipulate you to make you feel like it's your fault. Or so it's just a difference when it comes to that. It's really about like, are you caring? The fact that someone's even thinking about if they're a narcissist a lot of times isn't because you're worried about how someone is perceiving them. A narcissistic person is like,
just living.
It's you. It's a completely different experience. So their confidence is actually very fragile.
Thank you. Thank you. Because sometimes I feel like people are trying to equate them to each other.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, more times than not, it ain't real. It's smoke and mirrors.
Right. If you're setting a boundary, they're giving like guilt tripping or manipulating you with something versus someone who's confident set a boundary. Like, okay, no, I understand that. It's not anything personal.
Word. And I would like to pause here for whoever is watching. Do not go diagnosing people with narcissism unless you are qualified to diagnose. Because a lot of people have narcissistic traits, but are not actually narcissistic. You ready for this rapid fire?
Okay. Let's do it.
That's where we are. We in this rapid fire. So it's just yes, no, and maybe a line.
Okay.
If you must give an additional explanation, just be keeping it moving.
Okay.
These are the same rapid fire questions every time, mostly because I want people to see the diversity. So here we go. You ready?
Okay. Ready.
Okay. Self-esteem is the same for everyone.
No.
Self-esteem is better built alone. Rapid.
No. Okay. No. Like maybe.
Self-esteem plays a role in relationships.
Yes.
Jealousy means you have low self-esteem.
No.
Any of them that you're like, okay, I need to give a one line to.
Like,
because you did pause on
what was the second one? Which one?
Self-esteem is better built alone.
Yeah, because it really makes a difference. Like, yes, it's built alone, but also when you first are a child, like it's built with kind of other people and what they're saying to you. Because a lot of times I know you said it in one sentence, but this parent's voice in your head transfers over to what you're saying to yourself later in life. So that's why it's like.
So is it better built alone?
So as you get older, I guess I'm thinking both ways. Like when you're younger, no, and you get older, yes.
Okay, we got to split. Okay, we got to split. So then, based off of everything, because I feel like you gave us a lot of things to consider, some definitions, all that stuff coming together, looking lovely. So then, can you leave the folk watching with 1 or 2 tips on building up to more secure self-esteem. I feel like you gave us some tips, but I want to go and just be like, this is the tip.
What I would say is I really want you to pay attention to how you feel when you're around just certain people, right? Like if somebody is, not nice to you, that makes you feel bad about yourself, like you can like let the good in, keep the bad out, is what I would say when it comes to situations. If someone's good and kind and everything to you, let them in. If leave out if somebody is, like I was saying, not nice to you or anything like that. So letting the good in, keeping the bad out when it comes to, because you want to keep those people who around you that will help to just pour into you, right? As you practice building that self-esteem.
I love that. I love that. Because it takes it to the real, to the tangible.
Yeah.
If it feels like shit, stop.
Right. Right. Exactly.
If it feels good, do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely, I feel that. I dig that. Yeah. Thank you so much for adding that into the space, for giving us that good word. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on TikTok at Moving Beyond You, on Instagram at iamsamantha.a. You can find me on any of those platforms, on my website, movingbeyondyou.org.
Well, I will definitely be linking all of these things. Check the notes. It will be there. Thank you so much for taking the time, for answering these questions, and for adding to the robustness of this conversation on self-esteem. I think it's very important for people to know that a way is not the way.
Exactly.
You have to mostly find the way for you.
Exactly. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.